What's the trick to getting good car deals, like if you have bad credit?
So first off, you got to work with like a local credit union. You got to make sure that you can get your credit in as good a shape as possible before going and applying. And be like, yeah, just get me approved, right? Sometimes that's beneficial if you know somebody there, or you know that they're going to be ethical amongst submitting you to banks. But if you really want to go and get the best interest rate possible and try to really get a good deal, you want to work with some type of local credit union.
Wherever you guys are watching this show, I would truly appreciate it if you follow or subscribe. It helps a lot with the algorithm. It helps us get bigger and better guests, and it helps us grow the team. Truly means a lot. Thank you guys for supporting, and here's the episode. All right, guys, we're talking cars today. We got Alek Cervantes here today. How's it going, my man?
It's going good, bro. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. From LA, but you're in Chicago now, right?
Correct, yeah.
6 years. You went out there for business?
Correct, yeah. A little bit of a switch for sure.
Is it the car dealership side? You had to start a dealership out there?
Just in general, raised a family and stuff, wanted to be a little bit out of the city, more controlled environment. So I feel like it's a little bit better.
I feel that. In LA, that's where you got your start, right, in the business?
Correct, yeah, for my first year, and then I moved out to Chicago area.
Okay. So you've been in this for 7 years?
Yeah, a little bit over 7 years, actually.
Damn, and you're killing it already.
I appreciate it, bro.
I feel that. And you first started selling cars. That's how you got into the car space?
Correct. Started selling cars, kept moving up in that industry, mastering sales, and then kept going into finance, running dealerships, and those kind of things. So
Nice. And when it came to selling cars, how long were you doing that for before you took the step up?
about a year and a half, 2 years.
Okay. And what type of cars were you selling?
All kinds. So like a lot of American brands, foreign cars, every single car you can imagine.
Okay. Which one sold the best?
In the Midwest, believe it or not, like a Chevy truck or a Ford truck is going to sell the best.
Damn.
Those are some of the things that we would sell the most of. And you don't always have to work in like a luxury line, right, to make like a lot of money or to have a high volume store. So some of those stores actually produce better.
Really?
Yeah.
So how many were you like selling a month on average?
A month, anywhere from like 20 to 30 cars, and these are at some dealerships that are only doing like 100 to 150 cars a month. So
So you were like one of the top guys.
always, yeah.
Nice. And from there, what was that next step from car salesman?
I actually opened up like an insurance and security brokerage. I did that for a while, sold that business, and then I got back into cars. I jumped into finance and then being a general manager. So kind of just bounced around and kept progressing.
Damn. And then from GM, now you're owning the dealership, right?
No, I run a big dealership for one of my buddies, actually. So
Okay.
we run that dealership, and then, I also scale sales teams. I help social media influencers like hire and then train on their processes.
Nice. So with that dealership you're running now, what type of cars is it?
So I'm actually at a Subaru dealership right now.
Subaru?
It's kind of crazy, right? Because you're like, oh, Subaru, who wants to sell Subarus, right? But the best thing is, especially if you're trying to profit, are people that, have good credit. A lot of people driving Subarus have super good credit. Not only that, they're very cash rich, right? They're minimalist, and they tend to hold on to a lot of their money. So it's very profitable. It's a good clientele versus working at like a subprime dealership, because at those dealerships, the bank's gonna limit you on what you can loan to the client, right? If you have 800, 700 plus credit, you can loan up to like 140, 165% LTV. So you're able to maximize the deals a lot more working at those kind of dealerships.
Interesting. So having good credit actually gets you better car deals.
For sure. Yeah. Not only better car deals like on the interest rate and those things, but it also allows the dealership to profit more off of you versus
Wow.
being in the subprime category.
Really?
Yeah, for
I
sure.
didn't know that. Wow. When I got my first car, I had my mom, I think, what is it called? Cosign or something?
Yeah. Go see.
Yeah. So that helped get the numbers down.
Yeah. That can be beneficial for sure. Anytime that somebody's going after an interest rate or you're a first time buyer, I would always recommend having a cosigner. It's just if they're willing to do it for you or not, right?
Yeah.
So.
What's the trick to getting good car deals, like if you have bad credit?
So first off, you got to work with like a local credit union. You got to make sure that you can get your credit in as good a shape as possible before going and applying. You also don't want to go to a dealership if you have bad credit and be like, yeah, just get me approved, right? Sometimes that's beneficial if you know somebody there, or you know that they're going to be ethical amongst submitting you to banks. But if you really want to go and get the best interest rate possible and try to really get a good deal, you want to work with some type of local credit union that's going to work with you, understand your personal situation a little bit more, rather than go into a big bank you're just another number to them. So if you can kind of go plead your case a little bit, get a better rate from a local credit union, it's always going to be the best option if you're in the subprime category.
Yeah, dude, the interest rates are nuts right now. I just paid 10% on my car.
That's insane. I got to help you.
Dude, I wish I met you earlier because,
Yeah.
bro, 10.17%.
Yeah, but there's also, you got to, in your line of cars that you're getting, those rates are normal, right? You're going to pay a little bit higher interest when you have that type of money being financed. So
Right.
it's okay. 10% is not bad.
It's not bad. It was also a business, and it was a brand new business. So
Sure. Business credit, anytime you take out a business loan, the interest rate's higher.
that's what I figured, yeah. And then commercial insurance. God damn, man.
Yeah,
Give me
not
double.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was
insurance-
double regular insurance.
They're making the money. Insurance is making so much money. It's crazy.
Dude, that's where the money's at. You said you got in that space a little bit too, right?
Yeah, I did that. Did securities, insurance, life insurance, all those kind of things. It was awesome. It's a little bit too slow paced for me, right? That's why I love sales. I love getting involved. I like fast paced industries. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit too slow.
So how did you get good at sales? Did you have a mentor?
No mentor. I actually was like super self-taught. I've had mentors now and just really doing it, right? I tell anybody, people are afraid to like start a business. People are afraid to go out and even talk to women or do anything like that. And you just have to go do it and put yourself in that situation. And if you do it enough times, you know, you're going to obviously raise your standards and you're going to raise your abilities. So
Yeah, it's just reps. I think people try to study it through books and audiobooks and, you know, YouTube videos. But
Yeah.
I think the best training is always in person, honestly.
not only that, I mean, there's so many tactics to sales, bro. Like as far as what you can do, how you can influence people. Like you can have a hypnotic approach to some things, and at the snap of your fingers, you can have people buying anything from you. It's nuts.
And each person's a bit different. You can't use the same script on everyone.
Ever, never. Like I actually tell people, like I don't ever use a script, right?
Wow.
Like I have a framework that I'm always gonna use, but then I'm gonna adapt, right? I always need to know my opponent, know who's sitting across from me, and in a business deal, at a car dealership, if I'm telling them I can help them with their sales team, like I'm always gonna know who I'm sitting across and just kind of pivot from there.
Yeah. What are some common objections you face and how do you counter them?
In the car industry, or where?
I guess in general.
I have to talk to somebody. I have to just wait. I got to think about this. I got to run this by my CPA, those kind of things. So,
Yeah.
Just getting people to even give a minor commitment, the more you can get from anybody up front, the more likely they are to actually follow through with buying something from you. So
Right.
even if that's ever the case, I'll just try to get some type of minor commitment, or I can overcome the wife objection, any of those objections. Like I know it like the back of my hand. So those are very entry level.
The wife one's a classic. I mean,
Oh, every time. Yeah, it's
Nailed
like the weakest one though. If somebody's saying that, that's like they're not very strong at closing or sticking to their decisions, because that's like the most basic thing that you could ever say.
right. So they're indecisive.
For sure, absolutely.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah. Lack of confidence. I never put the two together, but that makes sense.
Yeah, you got to read people's personalities. So much psychology is in sales, and the more you understand people, the better you can sell.
Yeah, dude. That guy, Andy Elliott?
Yeah, he's a
Man,
stud.
He's a
That dude's
beast.
stud, yeah.
I've seen him close like hundreds of thousands in a room.
He's intense. Not only is he like super, super motivated and skilled in what he does, but his energy's there. Just the energy, and I feel like energy and activity in any type of sales role or business just takes you to the next level. You could be no skill at all, but if you have that activity and that energy, like you're gonna produce results no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the most expensive car you've sold?
Probably like 175,000 personally sold. Like I told you, I was never in the line of just trying to sell high-end cars. Some dealerships, like a Lambo dealership, Porsche dealerships, they actually don't pay that well.
Really?
So it doesn't matter what kind of car you sell. It matters the commission structure, and then matters how many cars you're gonna be able to sell a month. I'd rather do volume than sell 4 Ferraris in a month any day of my life.
Interesting. What tactics do car dealerships use to take your money?
There's a ton, and if I could give like one super fire advice to somebody, it would be like anytime that you go and apply for a loan, if you're using the dealership's financing, would be to see like the buy sheet. The buy sheet's what they're going to give the dealership that shows the rate, shows the term, shows everything that they can do to you on the deal as far as financing. So I'd always tell somebody, hey, if you're applying at the dealership, ask them to see the call sheet. It's going to show you the buy rate. Typical dealership will mark up the buy rate anywhere from 1% to 2%. So even that's thousands of dollars. They mark up your interest rate 1% or 2%, especially like on a $200,000, $300,000 car, it can save you so much money. So
Wow.
that's a big thing is, marking up the interest rate and collecting reserve. That's one of the biggest things that they do.
Buy sheet. I never even thought of asking for that.
Buy sheet, call sheet. Yeah, you should always ask for it. It's what the lender is communicating to the dealership and telling them what the buy rate is for the interest rate.
Now, as someone that has experience with cars, in your opinion, which brands are the best quality cars in America?
As far as like high end or just like regular
I would say
cars?
regular.
So like, believe it or not, I believe Subarus are like super high quality. I think they're some of the safest. I love Teslas. People are always like, oh, the gaps suck in the Tesla. This and the technology and the safety features and the sleek look is impressive. Hondas, Toyotas are always go-tos. I'd ride one of those things out any day of my life. Just if you need a commuter car, you're trying to have something that can last you a long time, those are super good options to go with. And I'm in an abundance mindset, right? Like I have nice cars, I do those kind of things. But I also read a book when I was younger called The Millionaire Next Door. And I believe in practicing frugality in certain ways. So if you're just starting your business, if you're trying to save some money, if you're trying to be responsible and like set a foundation for your future, I don't think it's a bad thing to drive around in a Toyota. I don't think it's a bad thing to have a Honda. I think you're being smart, right? The car's gonna last you a long time, low maintenance, low car payment. And if you're just getting started, those are some of the best options to take.
Absolutely. Now let's go on the other side. Worst quality cars.
Land Rover, Range Rovers are horrible. They're like the worst. Those things break down all the time. I would tell anybody not to get one, to be honest.
I know a couple people that have them.
Yeah, they have so many problems. I've had people that have bought them too, and they're in the shop every single day. I mean, they're some of the worst cars. And then, you know, all these cars are stepping it up. Kia, Hyundai, they're stepping up their manufacturing and really trying to put their best foot forward to make sure that they don't have those problems, right? Because then people don't want to buy them once you get that low reliability rating.
Yeah.
So
I started off with Hyundais.
Yeah, they're good cars. They've stepped up.
I had the Santa Fe and I had I forget the regular one, what it's called, but yeah, those were my first two.
Yeah, the Santa Fe's really, really popular. A lot of people.
Yeah, it's only $200 a month, and I was like, all right.
Yeah, low maintenance. You're probably relaxed. Now you have a G-Wagon. So.
Yeah, G-Wagon and a Tesla. I love Teslas, dude.
Me too. They're one of my favorites. I have one as well. I have the wide performance.
Yeah.
Good family car, fast as heck. You could drive it and have fun still, and then you could still fit your family and stuff in the back.
Absolutely.
So it's a good little hybrid.
Do you see all cars going electric in the future?
Potentially, you know, I think there's always going to be that like market that people want a gas car. It feels completely different than like an EV, obviously. But I do see, as far as like emissions, places like California, there might be some regulations like that coming into place just because the environment and those kind of things. So I don't know. I love a gas car. I love an electric car. So
I like both. Yeah, I didn't know Cali was planning that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if they're planning it, but I could see it coming.
Yeah, because there's so many people in LA, man.
Yeah, there's
the traffic is nuts.
You go out there, you see more Teslas than anywhere else.
Really?
Yeah, it's nuts.
Wow. Oh yeah, because they used to give you like a refund or something, right? Like
yeah, they have a special program when you buy an EV vehicle out there.
Yeah, that makes sense. In terms of scaling sales teams, what's the biggest team you've grown?
So I work with my buddy Marcel Klein. Known him since we were super young, and you know, he has like life coaching, hypnosis. It sounds kind of crazy, but so influential, and you know, his showmanship as far as speaking is nuts. So that's one of my biggest teams that I've worked with. I've worked with him for the last 2 years, and you know, doing several millions of dollars a month. Wow. We just had a big event in LA, and actually we had a ton of people out there, around 500 people, and then like another 500 just on Zoom. So. Damn. It's one of the biggest things. We have people working everywhere, and you know, the high ticket space is awesome for people just starting in sales because you can work remotely, you can get your feet wet. Not in our offer, right? We want very experienced people. You know, we're selling things that are 50, 80, $1 million. So you have to be very skilled to be on that. But there's a lot of influencers selling low ticket items, and if you get on one of those teams and you get your feet wet and you really learn how to talk to people. Talking to somebody over the phone versus in person is crazy, right? Because it's all about your tonality, your verbiage. And if you can master those things, when you go in person and try to sell somebody and you have your body language and you have a little bit of finesse to you, it's so easy if you master those first two things that I mentioned about.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of high ticket. And I've actually tried that hypnosis stuff, dude.
What do you think?
I tried it twice. First time was decent. Second time, it worked pretty well, man. Shout out to Dom, the hypnotist. And he did it over Zoom, which was crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's freaking nuts.
I was super skeptical.
Yeah, everybody is. But, you know, until you do it and you become suggestible, you're not going to be bought into it. And you have to let it happen to you, right? So you really have to be willing to let your guard down and be willing to let somebody get in your head a little bit, which is hard for a lot of people.
Yeah, dude. I had some interesting traumas that I had no idea.
Sure. Did they help?
Yeah. Childhood traumas, because you just get so used to it. You know what I mean? You think it's normal, and then you figure out, wow, that was traumatic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hear that and yeah, I definitely felt it.
Well, at our seminar, like we have people, you know, they crazy things. They're going through like big traumas, you know, even.
Are you interested in coming on the Digital Social Hour podcast as a guest? Well, click the application link below in the description of this video. We are always looking for cool stories, cool entrepreneurs to talk to about business and life. Click the application link below, and here's the episode, guys.
Towards like they're feeling like they should maybe, you know, end their life in a sense. And these people get on stage and, you know, my buddy Marcel, he'll spend some time with them, 40 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes. It's rapid. And we had a gentleman, I won't go into any details, but he came to one of our seminars feeling super horrible, brought him on stage after like a 40-minute intervention. This guy was moving around the seminar different, showed up the next day, like dressed completely different, talking to everybody, smiling from cheek to cheek. So I've seen some crazy things happen. So I'm like a full believer in hypnosis. I'm not skeptical at all. And I think it's very transformational if you let it be.
Yeah, it gets a bad rep, I think, in the media because of those shows or whatever.
Yeah.
Where you get hypnotized on stage and there's no value there. They're just making fun of you or whatever, making you do crazy. But the type of hypnosis we're talking about for self-development, I think there's a lot of value there.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's not like this thing where they wave a clock in front of your eyes and you're turning into like a duck, right? It's a lot deeper than that. And if you could, you know, recalibrate somebody's mind and really get into the framework of how they were raised and get into their psychology and change that a little bit, it's transformational. Yeah. So I believe in it full proof.
Absolutely. What were some things you used it for on yourself?
Confidence, getting out there and be able to speak to more people. I used to think about stuff too much, right? So I use it just to take action very fast. Those are really the only things, I've mastered a lot of my own like personal things, just doing it by myself. So I've never really used hypnosis in a lot of ways, but just confidence and being more outspoken.
I love that. Yeah. Confidence is tough in terms of public speaking because as kids, we hated it, right?
Yeah.
We had to do it in school and we didn't give a shit about what we're talking about. So I thought I hated public speaking, but now I love it, dude.
Yeah.
It feels amazing.
Well, and people are studs at it. Like some people kill it. I'm not the best public speaker going in front of a stage of 1 million people by any means, but when you see those people get on stage and they're able to attract a crowd, nobody's on their phone, their heads are up, they're fully engaged. It's a freaking art. So it's definitely something you have to master, especially if you want to be influential. So That's awesome that you got that unlocked.
Yeah, storytelling is a huge part of just marketing. That ability is what I'm working on this year. With podcasting, it'll help a lot. So it's definitely a focus.
Well, even get on the podcast. I mean, you have to be you have to engage with people. You have to be free. You have to be loose. I mean, look at you. You're super relaxed. Your shoulders are low. You look good.
Took time, man. Took 500 episodes. But
you're here.
My first 10 were so cringe.
Yeah, I bet. You probably look at them now. You can't even watch them.
Oh, it's awful, dude. Just awful. Everything from my attire to my posture to the way I was talking to the questions I was asking, just god awful. But it's fun to look back at. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you see that growth, and it's just proof of concept, right? If you keep doing it and getting those reps in like anything, you're gonna eventually master it.
Yeah. Have you done a lot of personal development throughout your life?
Tons. I do a lot of reading. I'm not like, I can't go and sit and read a book. I can't even listen to it at like the normal speed that they play at. I typically put something on like 2.5 speed and then I just let it be embedded in my subconscious and try to listen to it. When I drive, when I go to work, I don't listen to music or anything like that unless I'm working out. But other than that, I really feel like those things influence my mind, and I want to have full control of that stuff. So I try to stay away from like any music. But I've done a lot of personal development. I've been to seminars all over. I don't think there's any reason to not do personal development, right? People have like, hey, this is 100K mentor mastery, it's 100K for this program, and it's going to be a month, and people are like, oh my gosh, that's too much. A seminar, it's $2,500 to come to. People are like, oh, I can't spend that. But if you don't start investing in any of those things and really working on yourself, I'm a firm believer as well. The more you pay attention. So anything with personal development, I feel like you have to be really bought into it and you have to be committed, because if it's 1 foot out, 1 foot in, you're not going to be successful in anything that you try to do, like in general, let alone personal development. You have to be dialed in. You have to know what your problems are. You have to know what you want to work on, and get really clear, have a lot of clarity on those things before you travel down a personal development route. What about you?
No, I agree with most of that, man. I gave up music pretty much and only listen to audiobooks. Not at 2.5x yet, but I'm at like 2x.
Sure.
A lot of podcasts I listen to. But dude, I love what you said, because you don't even realize like what you need to work on, but also you need to put your ego to the side.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people can't do that, and they won't admit their problems.
No, not at all. And ego should be left at the door anywhere you go. I mean, it's like it will eat you alive, right? It changes the way you see things too. So if you're not open and you're just not vulnerable, and a lot of men have a problem doing that, just being vulnerable and open. And I think it's once you can get into like that empathetic side of yourself, especially as like a man, you're able to grow so much more. Because you can't have this hard facade up all the time. Like, oh, I got everything figured out. I know what I'm doing. You got to be vulnerable. And when you're in the room, right, with somebody else that's maybe more developed in certain ways than you just have to be coachable. Being coachable is so important.
So important. I have anyone I work with, anyone I'm friends with, anyone I date, take the dark Triad test. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, so like if they score super high, it's something to keep in the back of your head. You know what I mean?
That's Ty Lopez, right? Yeah. That's crazy. I heard a story. One of my buddies knows him super well, and he said that he gave this test out to every female before they would come to his house and stuff. And he had this one lady that scored like crazy on the test, and he's like, "Hey, I know you're like a murderer." She ended up admitting to it, I guess. Or something.
I saw that. I saw that.
It's crazy.
Nuts. I mean, dude, because it measures psychopath, Machiavellianism, and narcissism.
Yep.
So if you get like a 99 on any of those, I mean,
red flag.
I'm not gonna hire you personally, and I'm probably not gonna date you or be friends with you. Just being honest.
Just stay the heck out of here.
You know what I mean?
To be honest. You do it with everybody that you hire.
Yeah, everyone.
Yeah, I think personality tests when you hire anybody is super important. Somebody can surprise you, right? Like obviously, but that's so true. And like, there's so much science into any of these personality tests, and it'll tell you some things that you would never notice if you just sat across from somebody. So.
Exactly, and you also want to have them take it because you want to know the best way to motivate them, right? Yeah. Some people like to be kind of like talked to in a certain way, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And some people are more passive, and they want to be motivated in other ways.
Yeah, everybody's influenced in different ways, and can be, as managing people and running companies and stuff like that, you have to, like I told you earlier, you have to be a chameleon. You got to know how to work with everybody to get the most out of them.
Absolutely. Do you go to a lot of conferences and events?
Tons, you know, a lot of them. Like I said, I just spent 4 days at a conference. It was
Damn.
crazy. So, you know, over hours and hours. My buddy Marcel, he had a couple guest speakers, but you learn so much at them. I think anybody really needs to get into personal development. Just if you don't, I don't think you're trying to move the needle at all.
Absolutely. You're also raising a family right now. How many kids do you have?
I have one son. His name's Gabriel. You know, he's 4, which is crazy. It's
Nice.
awesome. I started in boxing and stuff. So
Already?
yeah,
Damn.
correct. It's crazy. And you know, he actually does some of like my hypnosis audios with me.
Really?
Like if I'm doing any type of audio, I'll have him listen to them with me, and just I want him to be so conscious at a young age, right? When we were younger, you're kind of just moving through life. You're not really aware and conscious of things that are going on. So I just try to have him be super self-aware. I try to raise his EQ as much as I possibly can.
Right.
And I treat him like an adult. Like I've never treated my kid since he was born. I've never treated him like a baby. I treat him like an adult. I'm very transparent. I don't shelter him in ways. And I just think the more they're exposed to and the more genuine you are with them and they see how you act and they're exposed to the things you're going through, I think it's better for their development.
Absolutely. I had a child brain expert on the podcast not too long ago, and ages 0 to 6, 90% of the brain is formed.
Yeah.
So those ages are crucial for learning.
Not only that, their first 1,000 days are like, it's literally forming their psychology for the rest of their life.
Really?
Yeah, there's a whole book on it. It's called like Your First 1,000 Days or something.
Wow.
My wife read it, so like she was all into it, but she gave me the gist of it. So I don't know all the specifics, but that time period is so influential and so important. You're literally shaping their mind for the rest of their life.
That's interesting because a lot of people will have kids and hire a nanny, right?
Yeah.
And that nanny raises them the first 1,000 days or whatever, and you're not realizing that you should be the one kind of influencing them.
Yeah, I would never do that. I don't believe in like daycare, any of those things,
Really?
nannies, babysitters. No, as soon as I had my kid, I was like, hey, honey, you're not going to work at all anymore. You're going to stay home. We're going to form our kid's mind as best as we can. I want either one of us to be influencing them. I don't want them to be at a daycare or you know some of these other places where they could be influenced maybe by another kid who doesn't have the best home life, maybe by somebody who's working there that also doesn't have the best mindset or you know habits. I don't want any outside influences on my kid unless they're positive. So
Wow.
I really like to control that.
That's awesome, man. So even traveling, you're bringing them?
No, my kids stayed with my dad this time, but you know, my parents and you know, my lady's parents, I believe in what they do. They're very successful. They do a good job. So I want to keep them with them.
Right. When it comes to education and you look back at the way you were educated, did you go to public school?
No, I went to a charter school and I went to public school. So I went to both.
What was that experience like at both?
So charter school, I feel like it was a lot more intimate classes, very small, a lot more attention to detail. I learned the most when I went to a charter school for 6 months than I learned in public school my entire time.
Damn.
So
Which charter school was it?
it's actually Albert Einstein Academy.
Wow.
It was in Santa Clarita, California. They got shut down now for some crazy reasons, but you know, they taught you Hebrew. It was like a big Jewish school, and that's where I got like the majority of my education, and then also life. Right, I was exposed to life at a very young age. Right, like my mom moved to the Midwest. I moved out of my house when I was like 12 years old.
Damn,
Started staying at my
12?
buddies. Yeah. Started staying at like my buddies' houses, just living, trying to survive. My dad, you know, he was involved, a little uninvolved, and he had his own thing going on at that time. So just learning very easily, like what my toothpaste cost, what my all of my essential needs just to survive cost at a young age because I had to survive. And you know, having that kind of independence at a young age was so formative for me. So I feel like I'm a few years ahead, right? Like even starting a family, then the people that around me just. You have that life experience, and it's so formative for you.
Wow, dude, 12. That's like 5th grade, man.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah,
That
it was
is nuts. You had to grow up mad fast.
Yeah, it was nuts.
So did you go to college?
Yeah, I had my associate's degree. I actually, after I was making a ton of money, I actually went back and got my associate's degree. Super competitive. So like my woman, she was working on her degree, and then one of my best friends got his degree, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to be the only one that doesn't have any type of college education. So I went back and started going back to school.
Nice. I'm glad to hear that, man.
Not something I think is a necessity by any means.
School?
Not at all. Yeah.
Not at all.
No, I don't think you need it. Unless you're, you know, in a certain profession, I don't think you need a college education. You know, the internet, reading things, going on your computer, reading books, you could find all the knowledge in the specific area that you want. I feel like you could truly master that. I don't ever want to work for somebody. I don't think you ever like want to work for somebody either. So if you're not going in that direction, you don't want to be an employee. Like I think you just need to get as educated in the areas that you want to be a professional in. And then you can transfer those skills into like, you know, converting people and utilizing them in your real life.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a new era of education coming with guys like us having kids, and we're probably not even going to send our kids to school, to be honest. So it's going to be super interesting to see how early people start their companies now.
Well, not only that, right? Like you don't have kids yet, right?
Not yet.
Yeah, but like for me, like I want my kid involved in the business. I want him seeing everything I'm doing. I'd rather bring my kid to the office than send him to school for the day.
For sure.
He's going to learn a lot more.
Yeah.
And obviously we want to project ourselves in them. You have to let them be independent and do their own thing, but I want to influence my kid with everything that I've learned and kind of just give him a handbook before he tries to go on his own ventures.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely. Alec, it's been fun, man. Anything you want to close off with or promote?
Yeah, so if you guys are gonna buy a car, you guys want to save a ton of money, I have my course. It's Auto Car Academy. You can find it on my Instagram. My Instagram handle is Celebrity Car Buyer. I teach you guys how to save thousands and thousands of dollars every time you guys buy a car.
Perfect. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Yeah, for sure, bro.
Thanks for watching, guys, as always, and I will see you tomorrow.